Each gland of the endocrine system has a specific function based on the type of hormone produced and secreted by this gland. Understanding and identifying hormones and their functions is vital to fully comprehending and intricate workings of the endocrine system. We're going to talk about the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus is situated inside the center of the brain below the thalamus. You guys will see that on your figure 31-3. It is similar in size and shape to an almond. Though it is very small, it is very important to the entire body. The hypothalamus is connected between the endocrine and the nervous system. One of the main functions of the hypothalamus is to secrete, releasing and inhibiting hormones. Releasing hormones start the production and release of other hormones throughout the body. In addition to releasing and inhibiting hormones, the hypothalamus also produces two specific hormones within the body. You have your antidiuretic hormones, which is known as the ADH, is responsible for increasing water absorption in the blood by the kidneys. We also have oxytocin, plays a key role in childbirth, as discussed earlier in your other chapters, and also influences our ability to trust and bond with others. It is important to note that even though these hormones are produced in the hypothalamus, they are stored and released by the pituitary glands. Flip on over to page 728. You guys can review over table 31-2. This is the releasing and inhibiting hormones of the hypothalamus, and it gives you the hormone and its function. We're going to talk about the pituitary gland. It's a small gland located near the base of the brain in the sella turcica, a small depression of the sphenoid bone. The pituitary is called the master gland because it regulates all the other endocrine glands. We're going to talk about the anterior lobe. The anterior lobe of the primary gland is also called the adenoid hypophysis. The portion of the master gland secretes hormones that are responsible for the growth and formation of the body structures, including the bones, the muscles, and the organs. It is responsible for secreting hormones for the growth, developmental of the thyroid gland, the sex gland, and the adrenal cortex. We're going to talk about a few of the hormones produced by the anterior lobe. One of the main ones here is the growth hormone. It is essential for the growth and development of bones, muscles, and other organs. Another one is the luteinizing hormone. Abbreviation for that one is LH. That's the gonadotropic hormone that plays an essential role in the maturation process of the ovarian follicles and in stimulating the development of the corpus luteum. That's those progesterone secreting endocrine tissue in the female. Do remember, though, that in the male, the LH is responsible for the production of testosterone. There's also the melanocyte stimulating hormone, MSH. These control skin pigmentation of the epidermis, which is our skin. The deposit of the melanin helps protect skin after exposure to sunlight. They also have other ones that are available, the ACTH, the TSH, and the FSH are part of the pituitary gland that's located where the anterior lobe is. The posterior lobe of the pituitary gland is the neurohypophysis, is responsible for storing and secreting the antidiuretic hormone, that's your ADH, and the oxytocin, OT, which are produced by the hypothalamus. The pineal gland is located in the posterior end of the corpus callosum of the brain. It secretes melatonin. Melatonin helps regulate rhythm and is also called the body clock. This is a 24-hour cycle of walking, sleeping, and other daily functions. Melatonin also helps regulate the reproductive cycle by blocking some secretion of gonadotropins, LH, and FSH. Let's talk about the thyroid gland on page 729 on the right-hand side. The word thyroid is derived from the Greek word meaning shield-shaped. The thyroid gland is the largest of all endocrine glands, and it is responsible for the body's metabolism. Need to remember where it's located. It is located anterior to or in front of the trachea, just below the thyroid cartilage. Do remember that there are two lobes of the thyroid. Gives it its gland of the butterfly-shaped appearance, as it's shown in figure 31-5 on the top right-hand corner. And the lobes are connected to the center by a band of tissue called the isthmus. The thyroid gland secretes 3 hormones: thyroxine, which is the T4, triiodine thyroxine, which is the T3, and the calcitonin. Thyroxine T4 and the triiodine, said it totally wrong, triiodothyronine T3 is essential for the maintenance and regulation of the basal metabolic rate. Been a long day, guys, sorry. The calcitonin influences the bone and calcium metabolism. During infancy, a deficiency of calcitonin may result in creatinism. With arrested physical and mental development, myasthenia and Hashimoto's thyroiditis also result from hyposecretion of calcitonin and its companion hormones T3 and T4. Now we're going to talk about the parathyroid glands. These are 4 parathyroid glands are located within the posterior surface of the thyroid gland. Even though they are in close proximity of the thyroid gland, they do not share any of its functions. Each of these glands is about the size and shape of a grain of rice, which is only 3 to 5 millimeters in diameter. They secrete parathyroid hormone, PTH. PTH regulates the amount of calcium that is stored in the bones and the amount of calcium that circulates throughout the bloodstream. Calcium plays an obvious and important role in the bone growth and density, but is also essential to the process of the muscular contraction and the conduction of the electricity along the nerve pathways. Pancreas is considered to be both an endocrine and an exocrine gland. The endocrine function resides in the islets of Langerhans, small clusters of cells within the pancreas that secrete hormones into the bloodstream. There are 3 main types of cells that make up the islets of Langerhans. We have the alpha, the beta, and the delta cells. Let's talk about the adrenal glands and where they're located. If you look at figure 31-8 on page 731, you will see those triangular glands are located on top of each kidney. They consist of an outer portion, that's the cortex, and the inner portion is the medulla. Let's look down into table 31-3. The hormones that are secreted by the adrenal glands. Let's look at androgens. Androgens promote the development of primary and secondary male characteristics. And epinephrine, also known as adrenaline, is responsible for your fight or flight response. Flip over to page 732. We're going to look at the table 31-4, hormones of the gastrointestinal mucosa. There are multiple different kinds. I should say there's 4 listed here. We have the gastrin, the secretin, the cholecystokinin, and the enterogastrum. Keep in mind on the gastrin that the pyloric area between the stomach and the small intestine does secrete gastrin. It stimulates gastric acid secretion to aid in the breakdown and digestion of food. If you look at secretin, that is located in the duodenum and jejunum. Stimulates the release of water and bicarbonate from the pancreas to aid digestion. The other two are located in the duodenum, and this activates the gallbladder to release bile and the pancreas to release digestive enzymes when fatty acids are present in small intestines, along with regulates gastric secretions, specifically by inhibiting gastric motility and other gastric hormones.